Mike, say that one more time, please. Carson Industrial Center. Carson Industrial Center. All right. So a packing and processing facility. Not sure what these supplies are, but you know, we talked so much on the news lately about shortages of things and the supply chains backed up, and you know, this is almost certainly going to affect that whole situation even more. My pilot Mitch speculated maybe they're just pre-assembled cardboard boxes or something. That's very possible. Maybe for you know, moving supplies, shipping supplies, but we're really curious to know how this all began by the time it's said and done, but all it takes is a spark. Oh, yeah. Just wondering if LA City or County Fire is going to be able to save this building. You see now all of these containers, you know, shipping, you know, that you put on the back of a semi. Those are almost, yeah, tractor trailers going to begin to go up. Yeah, hi there. I hear you there in the booth. Sorry, Paul, say again. Paul, go ahead. Copy. Now we're saying not in Carson Industrial. Lots of cardboard, lots of paper. May as well be matchsticks. Yeah, this building is beginning to catch fire here. Yeah. And just, you know, by virtue of the way that the winds are blowing, it's just so dangerous for these firefighters to even get up on this building, and how are they even going to protect this at this point? These fires just become so dangerous and spread so quickly that yeah. That's what I was saying earlier. One of my colleagues in the operations center saying we need the DC-10 out here. I mean, you have to ask some firefighters about protocol or something, but you know, we got those super scoopers, they're precision aircraft that are really an amazing thing to see, to watch them dip into smaller bodies of water than you might think, and they come and, you know, do these precision drops. So we're actually not sure about what business this is that is on fire. We thought it was, we were saying a name earlier, but now our understanding is that is not the business that we thought it was that is on fire. So still trying to get that information, but I mean, if this goes much longer, we're going to be talking about multiple businesses being on fire. Standing by. Yes, Amy, I believe that's you. Sorry, you kind of cut off there, but yeah, we're talking about one of the most serious pallet yard fires, or I shouldn't even say pallet yard fires, just extremely combustible industrial fires that we've ever seen. We're in the city of Carson. I just want to show you the wide shot so we can show you with our map tracker where exactly we're talking about here. So we're in between Avalon Boulevard. We're west of Avalon, north of Gardena Boulevard, and south of Alondra in an extremely dense industrial area here right now. You see LA County Fire doing all they can to just try to contain this extremely destructive fire. It's some sort of paper products, we can tell, and this lot is packed as densely as it possibly could. And this may as well just be, I was saying earlier, when we were talking on CBSN, this may as well just be 5 tons of matchsticks burning, because that's basically, you know, the same combustibility that we're talking about. I don't know that I've ever seen an area packed so densely with so much that can burn here. And, you know, we're talking about some winds blowing as well, and not just a dense yard, but a dense industrial area. These buildings here are beginning to catch fire, and you know, Amy, going into defensive mode at this point, it's just very difficult for LA County Fire to do much, but to try to contain this, and even just, you know, containing this is proving incredibly difficult. Yeah, absolutely. And this happened so quickly. When we first got to the scene, it was just this area that was burning, and in less than 10 minutes, this entire lot caught fire. Just an incredibly hot fire with the most combustible material. And we just heard that LA County Fire is officially going into defensive mode. And this fire caught up to an engine really quickly in a matter of seconds. You can't even see it now. It's behind this area, but just before this wall went up in flames, there was an engine that was right there. It was surrounded by all this combustible material, and they had to make a really quick evacuation. They couldn't even unhook their hoses. We watched them, you know, with really great alacrity moving out of that area, dragging the hoses to get back to a safe area. So we heard that they went into defensive mode. So, you know, we're not going to see them. Look at how quickly now this building beginning to burn with the rooftop. So that's, you know, they're not even going to be able to get firefighters on the roof now. It's just too dangerous for them. But the best they can do is get around the periphery with these, you know, hook and ladders and some of these, you know, really powerful hose lines from a distance, and try to prevent it from spreading any further. Yeah, no doubt about it. And, you know, you mentioned the winds in here. I just want to show you these palm trees. I mean, it doesn't look like much, but if you just get winds, you know, above 5 or 10 miles an hour, and they're moving to the east, you can see the effects that it has on this fire. Incredibly hot flames that now have, you know, even more fuel now to change direction. And that's, you know, partly how this fire is spread so quickly. And to these surrounding buildings, it's unclear if this is all one business or if these are multiple businesses. When I was just trying to get I was looking at the map earlier, and it looked like there were quite a few separate businesses. This is a very dense area. Some pallet yards have what you might call, you know, a really good buffer around themselves as far as from other surrounding businesses, and they're easier to contain. But unfortunately, that is not the case with this packing facility. We keep saying pallet yard because that's what was first reported. I haven't actually seen any wood pallets here. Just looking at what looks like to be a lot of paper material, some sort of distribution center or a packing facility, and it is just all gone up in flames and turned into a catastrophic industrial fire here in Carson. We have not heard about any injuries at this point. Those firefighters were able to get out safely and get over towards Avalon Boulevard at the top of the shop. But it was looking really scary there for a minute because the fire was spreading so quickly, and we still saw that engine there. But they were able to get out in the nick of time. I just want to widen out and show you the closest home. So there's still a pretty good distance as far as where we're looking at with homes or anything like that, but boy, I'm just really concerned about this huge distribution facility right here, especially, you know, we've been talking so much about these supply chain issues that we have and how critical every link is, and now, you know, this could be another crimp in that whole system, depending on, you know, what this is that was being stored here. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we were seeing is, you know, you have a fire that's burning so hot. You're right. I mean, you basically changed the pressure. And I'm not a weather expert, but in the immediate area, and we were seeing, you know, flaming cardboard fly all over the place. We can actually see some of it right here. This is on the south end of the fire. We're going to try to move around a little bit and maneuver and see if we can get you kind of some different angles here. But here you see, this is what, you know, really makes firefighters nervous, is watching all of these. Look at these little flames. Look how far away this is flying. And I'm not sure how strong the winds are in the immediate area, but we might be talking about, you know, 20 or 30 mile-an-hour winds just by virtue of how hot it is down here. And you have the type of material that's very light and carries very easily through the air. And so this is extremely concerning for the surrounding businesses. They have upgraded this to a greater alarm fire, so they're going to be summoning even more resources. And, you know, they may need to have firefighters stationed in these neighborhoods so that we don't, you know, hopefully see what we've seen in some wildfire situations where you get, you know, a little bit of material, you know, a little ember get underneath one of these eaves and start to catch homes on fire. Yeah, so this is kind of what I was talking about this facility just being packed so densely. So the main area where all these paper products was right here, but then it snakes all the way across the building here. So this is the south side of the fire, but look, it extends all the way to the east, and it looks like it goes pretty much to the edge of the property and pretty close to these other buildings right here. So this isn't just like one little square area. You can see how spread out it is, almost like a T shape, and this is really starting to do a number on this building right here. Really concerned that it's going to spread to the roof and begin to chew into this building. It's unclear what is stored inside this industrial area, but talking about distribution facilities, packing facilities, a lot of these buildings are probably full of a lot of material. I know there was some kind of metal working business that was in here, and metal burns quite a bit better than you might think. Certainly not as well as paper, but that could be another serious situation if they're not able to contain this. The only area we see any white smoke coming from is right here on the western edge of the fire, and since the winds are blowing to the east, you have this ladder truck kind of able to at least try to control this little area. And it's just probably it's going to be one of those situations where they're just going to have to let this fuel burn through itself and kind of burn out and just contain it on the peripheries with as much water as they can. Not lined up along this building. Well, actually, yeah, it looked like this. Let me correct myself here. I would say it was right, at the back of this facility. This was probably material that was all, getting ready to be loaded and transported somewhere else. And you can see not only has that burned, but you've had some tractor trailers, some big containers that have burned as well. And there's quite a few more over here. There was an entire semi that has now definitely been consumed with flames that was down in this area. And that's actually where LA County Fire had their firefighting engine earlier as well, when they had to suddenly race away from the scene in a real hurry to avoid these flames. So we are starting to see some firefighters back on the roof here. They had backed off for a bit and gone into defensive mode because this fire was so unpredictable, but it looks like for the moment they feel comfortable enough at least to be on the roof of this building, which is a bit of a positive development. So hopefully they'll be able to contain it and stop it from damaging this massive building right here. This is a really big building right here. And again, the area we're talking about is just west of Alondra, or west of Avalon and south of Alondra Boulevard. Yeah, and continuing to see all of these embers flying all over the place. And yep, so we'll maybe see if we can move to the south and the east a little bit, see if we can see the other side. I would be curious to see, it might be a storage container that's moving, but you can see some more wood here next to that dumpster. So plenty of stuff to burn. Here's a lot more combustible material being stored. Looks like maybe some wood debris or whatnot. And it's just incredibly, gut-wrenching to watch all of this stuff, not just burning on the scene, but flying all over the place. Look at this, high up in the air, these flames now beginning to, creep towards the east. So extremely nerve-wracking to watch. And I just want to widen out and check in on this neighborhood that's just to the east. Let's put up the map tracker and show you some of the residential streets that we're talking about that they're not under direct threat, I would say, at this point, but with those embers getting carried all over the place, it is extremely, extremely concerning for these homes that are in the downwind of the fire. Yeah, I mean, it's it's very apocalyptic looking when you're almost seeing what looks like kind of a rain of fire, just all of this burning paper flying all over the place and then falling in random places. And this is how we've seen some of the most destructive fires. Generally, when we're talking about wildfires, unfortunately, the winds are nowhere near as strong as Santa Ana conditions that we often see with 30, 40, 50 mile an hour winds. But if you just have anything above 5 or 10 miles an hour, you can see the trees kind of swaying. And then when you have the fire burning this hot, kind of creating its own wind, it's just a worst case scenario for LA County Fire as they try to contain the fire from jumping anywhere else. Oh. Yep. Beginning to fall to the earth, but yeah, I mean, look at right there, boom. There could be a brand new fire on someone's van right there. We saw that almost just like a devilishly dancing in the wind there, just almost like it's trying to decide where it wants to fall and be as destructive as possible. We watched it just go right over these trees. That could have turned into another fire. So we're going to need a lot more help here from LA County Fire. I would have to imagine they're going to have to be stationed all over the place just to make sure they can put out any little spot fires. Just want to go back to this neighborhood and see. We haven't really seen any fire activity in this area just yet, but we're already talking about businesses on the other side of Alondra, and you could see how concerned people were in this area after seeing the bits of cardboard, fly from, a quarter mile away towards the east. Yeah, and there's more here to burn than we even realize, because I've seen some of these pallet fires literally last for 48 or even 72 hours, or not pallets, but just paper products here. It's amazing how long it can burn, even when you have a constant stream of water on it. So this is, you can almost guarantee that this fire is going to keep LA County Fire very, very busy throughout the night and maybe into the morning, just because there is so much to burn here and so much structure protection and so much concern about having resources spread out across a pretty wide area to make sure that no other more serious fires pop up like this one right here that we were just following. And we'll see if this one spreads anymore. I also saw some sparks flying in here, so I think we may have seen one of these power transformers get burned up. So now we're talking about people dealing, with power outages in the area, on a very, very warm day as well. So there's going to have a lot of far-reaching impacts from this fire throughout the evening and almost certainly into tomorrow. So primarily it's around the periphery of the fire. This is the western end of the fire. This is going to be the safest area for them to get any water on because the wind is blowing to the east. You can see here with the smoke. And they were also on top of this building. Well, we did see them anyway. They've kind of been coming and going just depending on the direction of the fire. Here you see a few firefighters on the roof of this large industrial building. At one point, though, they had to back off and go into total defensive mode because this fire was spreading so quickly. At this point, if they can control the embers, they may be able to contain it to this whole area because this is the eastern edge of where all of that material was stacked up maybe 20 feet high to the edge of the property. So pretty much everything on the property that could burn is now in flames. It's also spread a little bit to the south. So on the south end of the fire, you see a couple of the big hook and ladders out here as well, trying to prevent it from spreading to this last bit of paper material. But at one point, the fire had almost overwhelmed some firefighters that had an engine down in this area before it all went up. But fortunately, they got out. So it's going to be quite some time before they're able to encroach any deeper into the area that is burning. I'm happy for you. Yes, Leslie and Amy, can you hear me? Okay. Hi. Well, while you had the inspector on, we did actually notice what I would call some improvement. We are beginning to see more and more of the white smoke and a little bit less of the black smoke. It may be the case that this fire just burned so hot so quickly that, it may be already beginning to turn the corner and burn itself out. When we were talking about wood pallets, obviously, wood burns a lot more slowly than paper, and it appears that it's paper that we've been seeing burning. That's what all indications are, and seeing that big chunks of cardboard flying through the air on fire. So it is a hopeful sign that we're beginning to see more white smoke and less black smoke. And amazingly, even hats off here to LA County Fire. They were even able to kind of save this stuff here at the very bottom end of the fire. I thought for sure that was going to go up, but they got there and hit it with so much water from so many angles, and the danger appears to be diminishing for this building as well. And the fact that we're seeing LA County firefighters on the roof of this building is a positive development, that they feel comfortable enough to get on the roof there. And a few more firefighters here. We're looking kind of at the north end of this fire. So hopefully we're beginning to see a little improvement, but obviously still a very, very long way to go for firefighters. And I should mention LA City Fire has joined the fight on this one as well, trying to douse this kind of hellscape that we're looking at here in this industrial center in Carson. Yeah, they really have done, a remarkable job as they often do, and especially when we saw how quickly this fire spread, they were able to kind of, retreat a little bit, but add some more resources, get some more water, and you can see here how they're able to stay, a very safe distance with these high pressure hoses. You're shooting the water, several hundred feet ahead of them. So when they have enough of those kind of resources, they're able to contain things better. But we did see this begin to catch fire, and we believe this may be some sort of auto repair facility. There was concern. They were talking about an auto repair facility catching fire, but I believe they were just talking about the storage container in the back of this business. And we know that there are many, many businesses here, and we saw a lot of people standing outside these businesses with concern, and folks over in this area that were watching very intently and trying to stamp out any pieces of flaming cardboard that came over towards where they work. So fortunately, they all remain intact at this point. And really, I believe that these buildings here, these outbuildings are on the periphery of the same property. For sure, we've seen some damage done to the wall of this business right here. But at one point, we were worried about the fire getting onto the roof and maybe getting through the roof and into the interior of that building, but it looks like LA City Fire has succeeded from preventing that. No, we have not, and it's unclear if a lot of these folks were at work here. We could see one person here standing outside, and we haven't heard about any evacuations from this area. I think LA County Fire feels confident with the way that this fire is burning and where they have all of their firefighters stationed, that they feel pretty good that they're going to be able to prevent it from spreading there. I know I was really concerned over with this neighborhood farther to the east, just because of how far we saw those embers traveling. We saw some make it all the way here to the east side of Avalon Boulevard. And here you can see, I believe, some LA County Sheriff's deputies that are blocking off the street. They may have been going through these neighborhoods and just alerting people that may be home that they need to be, just keep a watchful eye on the situation. But as I widen out and show you, we are seeing a lot less smoke than we have been seeing, and a lot more white smoke, more and more by the minute. So this, like I said, this fire may just be burning through this this fuel very quickly. Right. Yeah, wood pallets would have definitely burned a lot slower. I've covered a massive pallet fire before in Ontario that burned for 3 days. That was just a yard that was full of pallets, and you think of the tremendous amount of work that it took to contain that fire that burned for 3 days. But this is paper, so it's going to burn a lot more quickly and intensely, but then also die out more quickly as well. Still a lot of fuel to be burning through this area. But I wanted to mention something too that's been on my mind, kind of how everything is connected, and we believe this to be some sort of distribution facility. And I just wonder if all of this material piled up so quickly and so densely on this property because of the supply chain constraints that we hear about constantly. There was so much that was stored so densely on this property and was snaking all the way around the building. It's hard for me to imagine that this was, by design, that all of this was, just being stored in normal times. So I wonder if that had any effect, and what exactly this is that all burned, and if it's if we're going to feel any, if we're going to feel that in any way as far as supplies of products in stores or anything like that. I'm sorry. Are you referencing this foam that we're seeing out here? Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. This is very effective. It's probably resistant to evaporating as quickly as water, and you can see how it just kind of stays around and pools up. And this is extremely effective, so that you kind of have a mixture of that in there with the water. I believe as it's being deployed by firefighters, and you look at just how much of this is beginning to pull up now in this area. So and we could see maybe a dozen hook and ladders all across the property, towering over the fire. Very, very effective if they can fight it from overhead. And but they've been pouring water on this now for we're, I think, approaching 90 minutes. Close to 90 minutes at this point, and you can still see how intense these flames are. Oh, no doubt about it. This is going to be going on well into the evening hours just for containment. They don't leave anything to chance. I know there's been times when we've seen little fires pop up on the freeway where there's been some brush, and they could have that off-ramp shut down for 24 hours because they want to be absolutely certain that nothing is going to spark up and endanger anything else. So when you're talking about something of this magnitude with this much that's burning and as hot as it's burning, you could definitely expect them to be busy for many, many hours to come. Yeah, I mean, this stuff was piled up so high, 20, maybe 20 or 30 feet high. Some of these stacks of paper that were burning. So it may just be the case that they get the water on the top of the pile, but as the flame kind of chews downward, it runs into more fresh fuel and kind of ignites again, and you just get an idea of how much water it takes to contain a fire like this. And the other thing is too that I mean, obviously it's unavoidable. They have to do this, but we're talking about really serious drought conditions right now as well. So really unfortunate, not just with everything that's burning, but all the damage, but all the water that has to be expended on this effort. Yeah, so let's look at, we can see this is Artistic Welding Incorporated, this building right here that is down on Gardena Boulevard that we're looking at right now, where firefighters are posting up and getting on the roof and actually seeing them have a hose line inside the business just in case, because it did appear that there were some holes. You can see these holes right here and actually a little bit of smoke coming out of the hole. So there is definitely an effort going on inside this building that we can't quite see, but we're not just talking about an exterior area, but the interior of that building where this fire has managed to creep into. But one positive thing, over the last 10 minutes, I have not been seeing those really big chunks of cardboard on fire flying through the air and down the street. So hopefully that aspect of the fire is beginning to calm down, and that will allow firefighters to kind of refocus themselves on the main fire here. And this is more good news here. We saw this was up in flames, and fortunately just took one hose line and a couple of firefighters to get in and put that out and preventing from spreading. So I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about this fire than I was a half hour ago. Yeah, Susie, I would say so. You know, maybe just by virtue of this material beginning to burn through itself. I mean, you can see how high it was stacked. So there's still probably a lot more in here for this fire to chew through before it finally gives up. But LA County Fire doing a real bang-up job of preventing this from spreading any farther to any of these surrounding businesses, of which, you know, there are a lot. When we got here, it was just, you know, my stomach kind of clinched up looking at just how densely packed this property was, and in such close proximity to so many other buildings. And although we've seen some damage, I would call this, you know, fairly minor by comparison, although, you know, probably won't know the extent for some time. This building here, this is a welding shop here, artistic welding, it says here on the front of the building, and there are some firefighters that are inside. And, you know, you can still see so much of this stuff kind of flying through the air, these embers. They're not the big chunks of burning cardboard, though, that we saw just a little bit earlier in the fire. So as disturbing as that still is to see so much floating away, it's not, you know, these kind of fireballs that were just kind of floating through the air and down the street. So another positive sign at this point, and the foam beginning to really pile up. I wanted to zoom in and look at, you know, some of the other things that burned here. It's not just paper. We had a bunch of tractors. There was, you can see this looked like some kind of vehicle here that, you know, burned down to a big pile of slag, and a couple of trees here as well. And so not just paper here, but a lot of metal and rubber has been lost as well. copy.